Hi, this is Simon Upsall and welcome to another tutorial for Apple Motion. And today I want to show you this interesting method for outline 3D text. Now, I've done a previous tutorial in which I've showed you how to outline 3D, but this is a new method and I think I rather like its abstract graphical quality. So let's take a look. So for my project setup this time, I'm going with 1080 by 1080, so 1080 square, 24 frames a second and a duration of 5 seconds. And the first thing I'm going to do is select the text tool and type some text. I'm going to make this, I think, 300 and then center it up. I'm using Futura Bold, by the way, here. And then center this up as well. So I just want to turn on the overlays and the grid and select my text. And I just want to adjust the anchor point so that the text is central. So like that. So come over to text, appearance, and we are going to turn on 3D text. So what we want here is a depth of 500 and we want to set the depth direction to backward. I'm just going to make this group 3D so we can see it like that. And I want to set the front edge size to 0. So then I'm going to come over to filters and glow and neon. And this is how I'm going to get my outline, believe it or not. I'm just going to turn off the overlays there. We don't need to see them anymore. So I'm going to turn my outer brightness down to nothing and my inner brightness down to nothing. I'm going to set this outer glow value to 5. And I'm also going to just crank up that edge intensity to 100. And now you can see we have got an outline of the 3D. It's not quite what we want though. It's not giving us enough detail of the letters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this text and I'm going to duplicate it. And for this duplicate, I'm going to go with a depth of 1. And you can see what that's done is it's given us the front edge. So if I turn off the back, we've got that front edge, turn off the front edge, we've got that. And so this has actually created our effect. So let's do a bit of tidying up here. Obviously, if we want to be able to edit this, we'd ideally just like to edit one piece of text rather than two. So what I'm going to do is come over to the format for this lower level, and down here with the text I'm going to add parameter behavior link, and I'm going to link it to the top text like that. And now they're linked, so any change we make up here is linked to the text of the bottom layer. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to publish this text. So right click publish, and you'll see that if we come over to the project here, it allows us to edit it from this top layer here, which is easier than kind of diving into the groups. So let us now call this group A and let's duplicate it. So right click duplicate, and I'm going to call this one B. And I'm actually going to make 4 of them, why not? So duplicate this one, call it C. You get the idea. Duplicate, call it D. So in each case, I need to make sure to publish the text. So this is the text for B, publish. This is the text for C, publish that one as well. And this is the text for D, publish that. So let's just close up these groups and now just move them into position. So the A version, I think I'm going to move up to something like 400. The D, I'm going to move to -400. The B, I think I'm going to go for 100. And C, -100. We'll come back and revisit these later on. So then I want to add some rotation. So open up the rotation. For the A, I'm going to rotate it through 30 degrees. For the B, -30. For the C, you get the idea, +30. And for the D, -30 again. Now, you'll notice something very odd about the way this all looks, and that's because Motion doesn't really understand the relative 3D depth of different 3D objects, and that includes its own text. And that's a bit unfortunate. So what we have to do is to kind of cheat the appearance. So we'll just need to do a little bit of adjustment of these positions. So I'm going to move that B1 up like that. That's looking more convincing. So 150 for that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put D below C, or rather I'll move C above D. And now that's looking a little bit better. So actually let's come over to the project and let's just re-edit this text. Second line is going to be Eri. Third line is going to be men. This one is going to be Tull. So then we can add a camera, and we can add behaviors camera sweep, and let's have a start of -10 and an end of +10. And that allows us to sort of sweep around like this, and it all looks quite nice, I think. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new group to put all of this in, because we need to do some processing on this. So drop all of this into this new group here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a color and levels. And the reason for this is the neon is actually driving the values well above 1. If you look at the top row here where I hover, we've got values of kind of 4, and it's really extreme. And if we just add a levels, we actually clip those at 1. So the highest is going to be 1. So then let's add a little bit of color. So color and colorize. And let's maybe, I don't know, go for something like this. And then above that, let's add a glow and neon. And let's set the mix value down to about 10. Now, this is looking wrong as well. And the reason it's looking wrong is because what we thought was actually see-through is not see-through. So I'm just going to come down to here, I think, to where the levels is. And I'm just going to add a mask unkeying Luma keyer. And now that has changed everything, as you can see. And we can actually just play with our neon and bring it back up again like that to full strength. And we can adjust this to taste. So I'm actually going to go with a fairly broad spread for the outer glow, something like that. Now you'll probably notice, I don't know whether you can with the screen recording, that it's flickering quite a lot. And there is actually a very simple fix here that I'm going to suggest to you. And that is to come over to render and turn on depth of field. And what that's done is it's kind of blurred the foreground and the background. And you can probably see that's now pretty stable. It's obviously fattened everything up in a way that's not terribly desirable. But I actually think that's preferable to the flickering. So I think the flickering's pretty much entirely gone away just by doing that. So the final thing I want to do is just adjust the left-right positions of these different layers. And to do that, I'll turn back on the overlays and the grid. So I'm just going to tick each one and move it left and right till I get a position that I think looks more central. And one final thing I want to do, just to give a bit more interest to this animation, is to come to my group that contains everything and scale it up to 120%. Then come to my camera, and I'm going to add to its Y position a ramp behavior. I'm going to come to the first frame, just adjust that start value till we can see all of the top line like that. And come to the last frame and set the end value so that we can see all of the bottom line like that. And then we get this, which I think adds a lot of extra visual interest. Anyway, pretty interesting effect, I think. I hope you have fun with it. Thanks very much indeed for watching. I'll see you again soon.